So if there's one big lesson to take away from Wisconsin is Elon Musk does not help Republicans when he shows up. If anything, the data suggests that he hurts them. Republicans, stay clear of Elon Musk if you want to win in a swing state, at least in terms of his physical appearance in your state.
Elon Musk continues to be publicly and brutally humiliated in the aftermath of the Wisconsin Supreme Court special election, in which the liberal candidate crushed the right-wing candidate backed by Musk and Donald Trump, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we're continuing our coverage of this particular story because more information, more data, more clips are coming in, which are humiliating Elon Musk. And I just think that that's, number one, morally good to talk about. And number two, a lot of fun. Like this clip, for example, in which Fox News has to report what the voters in Wisconsin were saying about their motivation.
Well, I can tell you this, Stuart. A lot of Wisconsin voters said they were pushing back against the outside money that flowed into Wisconsin, Democrats specifically naming Elon Musk. It was also the first chance that Wisconsin liberals had to do something in defiance of Donald Trump. So they turned out in such numbers that Deep Blue Milwaukee ultimately ran out of ballots and they had to scramble to get more. However, if you look at the last 5 races for the Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin, the left-leaning judge won 4 of them with about the same margin, 10%. And that's what happened last night.
So they are not happy with Elon Musk. That was a referendum on Elon Musk, and it resulted in a landslide election. So it turns out that being backed by Musk and Trump so closely was to Brad Schimmel's deficit. We also discussed in a previous video that as a consequence of this, not solely this, but this was the cherry on top, that Donald Trump is telling his inner circle that he plans to evict Elon Musk from the government, that they are parting ways in their current capacity, which again is really good news and really embarrassing for Musk. But we also have additional data, okay? Harry Enton, CNN's chief data analyst, is talking about this. And again, just these next 2 minutes are really brutal for Elon Musk. So I think you and I will find some extraordinary personal satisfaction out of watching it.
If you are a Republican candidate running in a swing state, you don't want Elon Musk anywhere near you. Yes, maybe you like the money, but you do not want his presence in your state. Why is that? Elon Musk, simply put, is an unpopular guy. He is political poison. Look in Wisconsin, his net favorable rating, minus 12 points, 12 points underwater. That is an even worse number when you look nationally. Look at that. It's minus 17 points. So if there's one big lesson to take away from Wisconsin is Elon Musk does not help Republicans when he shows up. If anything, the data suggests that he hurts them. Republicans, stay clear of Elon Musk if you want to win in a swing state, at least in terms of his physical appearance in your state.
All right, what did we...
God, that's so, I mean, he might as well have taken out like an effigy of Elon Musk and started whacking it with a stick, you know, like an Elon Musk piñata. That had to hurt. A thin-skinned malignant narcissist like Elon Musk is no doubt very upset by this, despite his extraordinary wealth, power, and privilege. And again, I think that's good. I think it's good that Elon Musk has hurt feelings. He's one of the biggest bullies out there alongside Donald Trump. He's perhaps the biggest bully in American politics, and I think it's okay when bullies get bullied. So let's listen to more of this clip. Again, it's so good.
What do we see in terms of swings in Florida?
What do we see in the terms of swings in Florida? You know, we were talking about Florida 6, and you can see it here. The election margins in the U.S. House District, you know, Donald Trump won the 6 by 30 points. Last night, what did we see? We saw the Republican Randy Fine win by 14. That's a swing of 16 points. But that's not anywhere near the swing we saw in Florida 1. Look at that. Donald Trump won it by 37 points. The Republican won last night, but only by 15. That's a 22-point swing.
So it's true that the Republicans won the special elections in Florida, which really wasn't in doubt because those are deep red districts. But even though this doesn't pertain to Elon Musk in particular, it was a hell of an overperformance in both of those special elections by the Democrats, major swings. As a matter of fact, in some of the counties in those districts, they flipped. They actually flipped from red to blue outright. It wasn't enough to change the outcome of the overall representation. But yeah, that's not good for it's not good for the Republican Party, assuming that this trend continues. Steve Ratner, MSNBC analyst as well, says Wisconsin's election results show that Musk may be more of a liability than an asset when it comes to Republican electoral efforts. His approval ratings is singular, is 6 points below Trump's, and they're both underwater. Yikes! Not good. Which again, we're not surprised by. We've been discussing this for a while. Elon Musk is not a popular person. He's less popular than Trump. Trump is not particularly popular, and Musk doesn't have that sort of cult of personality. I mean, he has his own cult of personality. There's a cultish devotation to Elon Musk that you see particularly online, but it's nowhere near as sweeping as Donald Trump's. And Musk is even hemorrhaging support among Republicans. As a matter of fact, as Cassie Hunt on CNN, there was a clip here, I thought, but it's actually a screenshot and a quote. She reports that Republicans who very privately, but also very sort of vocally and nervously, are saying that they wouldn't actually mind if this result woke up the White House as to Elon Musk and the challenges that he's creating for them with voters. And it's true. Media's reporting on this as well. House Republicans say Elon Musk is dragging down party, rooting for special election massacre, so the GOP will bench him. And that was yesterday, before there was the special election massacre in Wisconsin. Yeah, this is terrible. Let's see. Isaac Shore is reporting on this. He's a conservative Mediaite reporter. House Republicans are pointing the finger at Elon Musk for their struggles in special elections ahead of voters' trip to the ballot box on Tuesday. According to Politico's Jonathan Martin, while Trump has christened April 2nd as Liberation Day, April 1st could be and should be Liberation Day for congressional Republicans when it comes to Elon Musk. Quote, there's little that congressional Republicans and their counterparts in state capitals can do about Trump and his insistence on pushing inflation-spiking tariffs. He grips his party like no modern president, and they must accommodate every impulse, wrote Martin in a new column. Quote, however, Musk has turbocharged the backlash to Trump and accelerated the revival of demoralized Democrats and independents appalled by the billionaire's cavalier attempt to slash the federal government. If they don't push the White House to cut Musk loose, Republicans are tempting a replay of 2017 and 2018 when Democrats scored gains in Trump's first term, but with twin targets for the left this time. The veteran reporter went on to note that one House Republican told him they're actually rooting for their party to struggle in key races in Wisconsin and Florida on Tuesday, so the White House will bench the billionaire. And again, going all the way back to it, we now have confirmation, courtesy of also Politico, that Trump is telling his inner circle that Elon's going soon. Now, again, they will remain ideological allies for the foreseeable future, and Musk's money, I have no doubt, will play a role in Trump's political efforts. So Republicans are totally in the clear. They probably still need to fear Elon somewhat, but there's going to be distance that Trump attempts to put between Musk and himself. So, also want to note reports from the National Review and the Wall Street Journal, because it's fun. Listen, I'm a Democrat, okay? We lost in 2024. We lost the House, we lost the Senate, we lost the White House to a fascist authoritarian movement, and there are very few checks that we can actually apply. So it's just been bad political news, very dispiriting. This is good. I like this. This is giving me, this is some optimism. This is something nice to hold on to. And so I'm going to bask in it for a while, okay? So the conservatives in the comments saying, oh, you're really milking this. Yeah, of course. Wouldn't you if the shoe was on the other foot? So let's take a look at this. The National Review editors wrote this article. Remember, this is a conservative outlet, right? I just like reading when conservatives bitch at other conservatives, especially when they have valid grounds to do so. It's fun. The voters of Wisconsin cast their votes yesterday in a race for a vacant seat on the state's Supreme Court, as ideological control of the court hung in the balance at a critical moment for Wisconsin's future. The result was deeply disappointing. Progressive Circuit Court Judge Susan Crawford of Dane County handily defeated conservative Waukesha County Circuit Court Judge Brad Schimmel. Crawford's margin of victory in this swing state, which voted for Trump over Kamala Harris by less than 1 percentage point, was a robust 10 percentage points. The race was for an open seat with Republicans hoping to take the majority. Instead, progressives will continue to control the court 4-3. The loss is another sign of a deep change in the electorate. As the major parties have slowly bled their ancestral voter bases to one another throughout the Trump era, the side effect is that Democrats, increasingly the party of ideologically motivated, high-frequency voters, now demonstrate a significant turnout advantage over the new Republican coalition in any election where Trump himself is not on the ballot. As the party controlling the White House, Republicans also inevitably face structural headwinds in special elections, and Trump's actions during his first months in office have predictably motivated his opponents. In that regard, it probably wasn't a good idea for Elon Musk to make it easier for Democrats to make the race about national politics by showing up for his own high-profile campaign event in the final days. But the talk about Democrats overcoming Musk's millions is absurd, given that Democrats had a massive spending advantage prior to Musk's engagement in the race, driven by well-heeled donors like George Soros, Reid Hoffman, and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. And it is true that liberal billionaires did indeed contribute enormously to this race. It's just that when Musk entered in, we've not seen a single great nexus of concentrated contribution the way that Musk is. Musk himself out-contributed the three mentioned, Soros, Pritzker, and Hoffman, period. 20 to 25 million, depending on the calculation, especially if you consider his political action committee. So, yes, by the way, I should also point out, conservatives, don't know what you're complaining about, because the fact of the matter is liberals and progressives and Democrats want big money out of politics, both for Democrats and Republicans. You just want it out for Democrats, right? You want that asymmetry. We would love to disarm. We're just not going to disarm unilaterally. So let's all put the proverbial guns down in terms of, major donations and campaign expenditures. Let's overturn Citizens United. Let's have publicly funded elections. That would be good. Regardless, the failure to reclaim Wisconsin's court will have large-scale consequences given the activism of the liberal majority. Again, this is a conservative publication. Activists are seeking, as always, to undo former Governor Scott Walker's signature conservative achievement via lawsuit, Act 10, the landmark 2011 reform bill, that finally disentangled Wisconsin's government from its statutorily incestuous relationship with the state's once dominant public sector unions. All right, so again, they're like, oh my God, they're going to make it easier for unions to be relevant in Wisconsin. We'd also really like them to unfuck and ungerrymander the Scott Walker-led gerrymander of Wisconsin as well. That would be really nice. And it could have national implications, as we've discussed in previous videos. Let's get to the Wall Street Journal, the other major conservative outlet publication. The editorial board wrote on that too. The MAGA backlash arrives. Republicans hold 2 Florida House seats despite a sharp swing to Democrats, but Democrats easily keep their Wisconsin Supreme Court majority. Democrats solidified their 4-3 progressive majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court on Tuesday, and the ramifications are nationwide. The comfortable win by Democratic Judge Susan Crawford is the second sign in 2 weeks of a political backlash against the Trump presidency. Democrats turned out in large numbers to defeat Republican Judge Brad Schimmel in a race in which the two sides may have spent as much as $100 million. Democrats sought to make the race a referendum on Musk and Trump, and Musk responded by trying to mobilize the Trump voters who tend to stay home during spring elections. The Democratic bet paid off. That's a warning to the GOP that the Trump-Musk governing style is stirring a backlash that could cost them control of Congress next year. Fingers crossed. All the more so given the results in 2 special House races in Florida Tuesday to replace a pair of Republicans. These are safe seats, and Republicans won the Western Panhandle district held by Matt Gaetz with some room to spare. But Jimmy Petronis' 57% was about 9 points less than the 66% that Gaetz won in 2024. It was a similar story in the Palm Coast seat of former Representative Mike Waltz, who's now the National Security Advisor. Democrats had a better candidate, but the swing to Democrats was about 9 points from Waltz's 66.5% vote share in 2024 to State Senator Randy Fine's roughly 57% on Tuesday. Democrats are fired up to make a statement about Trump's polarizing second term. Last week, they flipped a Pennsylvania State Senate seat long held by the GOP. Republicans can console themselves that they held the Florida seats and thus their narrow House majority. And we hope that the results don't scare the House Republicans into backing away from their tax and regulatory reform agenda. Again, this is a conservative publication. They want tax cuts for the rich. I don't co-sign that, but I love to use the right wing's own words against them. It's fun. That's what Democrats would love, so next year they'd get the benefit both ways. Motivated Democrats and sullen Republicans after a GOP governing failure. But the elections are a warning to Trump to focus on what got him reelected, especially prices and growth in real incomes after inflation. His willy-nilly tariff agenda undermining stock prices and consumer and business confidence isn't helping. As for Wisconsin, Republicans in that state will now have to live with a willful Supreme Court majority that could reverse nearly everything the GOP accomplished under Governor Scott Walker. School vouchers, collective bargaining reform for public workers, tort reform, and more are likely to be challenged in lawsuits by the left. Congressional district electoral maps will also be challenged and could cost the GOP 2 House seats. The MAGA majority may have a shorter run than advertised. Again, fingers crossed on that last part. Wisconsin's a 50-50 split state, period. For every Republican you can find, or every Republican resident of Wisconsin, you can find a Democrat as well. It's 50-50 down the middle. They went for Obama in 2012, Trump in 2016, Biden in 2020, back to Trump in 2024. They have 2 senators, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat. And despite that, and all the overwhelming data to suggest it's right down the middle, they gerrymandered the hell out of Wisconsin back in 2011. Under Republican Governor Scott Walker, they did it in terms of their internal legislative maps so that the internal legislature would lean stupidly to Republicans. They had a supermajority for the longest time. They had a supermajority even in elections where more people voted Democrat than Republican. Literally, the GOP concocted scenarios in Wisconsin that Democrats could win the election in terms of votes cast, more people voting Democrat than Republican, and Republicans still retain control because of their gerrymandering. It's insane. And they gerrymander the congressional districts as well. So Wisconsin has an 8-seat delegation that they send to the United States House of Representatives. And again, it's a 50-50 state. And there are 6 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Kind of like here in North Carolina. It's the same thing. We have 14 14-seat congressional delegation, and we used to have a 7-7 down the middle, but our Supreme Court election swung for the conservatives, and they gerrymandered the hell out of those districts. A 50-50 state that Republicans are working aggressively to turn into a Republican supermajority. You just don't see that with the Democrats. You just don't see it. Both parties gerrymander to one extent or another, but Republicans are infinitely worse and more successful at it, which is a problem. And hopefully that will be undone indeed. So anyway, the backlash to Musk is continuing. He's being humiliated both on Fox News and data from Harry Enton and others, and in poll after poll after poll. And he's getting the boot from Donald Trump. And so I just wanted to share that increasing backlash with you, as apparently elected Republicans, or at least some of them privately, celebrate the outcome. Fun stuff. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.